Thom Hartmann Program.
Well, companies are always looking for ways to increase their profits, as Rebecca Tuhus-Dubrow writes in the Boston Globe in the article The Female Advantage. She notes that a growing number of consultants and corporate leaders swear by a new strategy to boost the bottom line. European firms, she writes, with the highest proportion of women in power saw their stock value climb by 64% over the last 2 years, compared with an average of 47% for those companies dominated by men. Profits of Fortune 500 companies that most aggressively promoted women were 34% higher than industry medians. This mounting body of evidence, she says, demonstrates that having women on the boards and in senior executive ranks makes companies more profitable, better. The business case, says Alison Maitland, senior visiting fellow at Cass Business School in London, the business case is so strong, she said, that we need more women in senior management. Pretty straightforward stuff. And now the French are joining the Norwegians. Just the French version of the glass ceiling, just cracked by a parliamentary vote with the backing of the Sarkozy administration. In Norway, corporate boards have to be 40% female. And France is where women occupy 10.5% of corporate boards. They're apparently going to do the same thing. Carrie Lukas is with us. She is the Vice President of Policy and Economics at the Independent Women's Forum, the conservative think tank, IWF.org, the website. And Carrie, welcome back to our program.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Tom.
I hope you will join me in suggesting to American business and perhaps even mandating that American business have 40% women in their boards, like Norway has done.
Tom, with all that good news you just wrote, these top profit-hungry businesses are sure to hear that and are going to be pursuing women and promoting women on their own.
Wait a minute, you think that the Old Boy Network is going to blow up their own gender-based self-interest just for a little increase in profits?
Absolutely. Do you really think that a bunch of shareholders are out there saying, boy, I don't care about my profits, I don't care about my money, as long as we keep those ladies out of the boardroom, that's what I want? Of course not.
Do you really think, Carrie, that shareholders run companies?
Well, no, I think that I think that the board themselves, the CEOs, they want those big bonuses and big payoffs when they.
But they don't want it if they have to give their job up to a woman.
Sorry?
But they don't want it if they have to give their job up to a woman.
Oh, they don't have to. Well, it's not necessarily their job. It's jobs on corporate boards and jobs in high management, and there are a growing number of women who are taking on these positions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so. I read your op-ed piece on this, and good on you for being balanced on this. Surprise, forcing corporate boards to have more women isn't good for business, is the title of your piece, or even for most women, and people can find it over at IWF.org. You did acknowledge that there are statistics that the ones that I just shared. However, you say that, let me, instead of my trying to make your argument, why would you argue, if this is better for business, and it helps gender equality in the world of business, the world in general, why would you be opposed to it?
Well, there's a big difference between something being good for business and thinking that mandating an outcome is going to be good for business. When the statistics you're quoting with companies that put women on their board and in high positions, they're doing it because they found a woman that is going to make a great difference and that they believe is the best person for the job. What you've seen happen in Norway, where they've gone from 10% of women being on the corporate boards to now 40%, you found a mad scramble for women. They're no longer pursuing the best candidate. They're pursuing women, and that's why we have something like 70 women are on 300 or 400 boards, so that they're stretched incredibly thin. And in fact, there's statistics that show that this has been bad for business. Businesses that's had to force women into these corporate boards have done worse.
Well, I'm reading an article here at fastcompany.com, which generally takes a fairly conservative view, certainly a pro-business viewpoint. Norway's boards, 2 years later, what difference do women make? And quoting from the article, both men and women in the private sector objected to the quotation, as they call it, what we would call a quota. The reason quotas are wrong, and they interviewed Norwegians, the Norwegian CEOs. This is the result of this. And 2 years later, in a series of one-on-one interviews, they went back and interviewed these people a year later. Every single person said the boards were measurably improved with the addition of women. Those who experienced the resistance to having women on boards and then lived the difference when the issue was forced support the legislation. The reason? The change would never have happened unless it was required.
I think that there's a big difference between saying that that there's something good about having women involved. There certainly are. There are good aspects to having this mandate. But when you look at it overall, like, where does it end? Why is this government's business? How is it government's job?
Because it's better for society.
A private entity, who they employ or who they have in their board.
Because governments create businesses, Carrie. A business cannot come into existence. A business is a special set of privileges given to a group of people to pay taxes in a different way, to do things that it would be illegal for you and I to do if we didn't incorporate. And that set of privileges is given to a group of people, presumably so that they can do something that at the end of the day, people are going to make money and produce things along the way, but at the end of the day is going to have some positive benefit to society. So governments have not just a right but an obligation to make sure that if businesses are run, they're run in ways that promote the benefits of society.
Tom, we've talked about this before, and this idea, I think there's something basically offensive about the idea that businesses only should exist at the pleasure of government.
But they do.
Something where we should, servile people, the servile citizen should have to go up there and beg, oh, please let me open a business. Please let me try
Carrie,
to provide this
it's the other way around. The businesses are saying, we want to be able to not have to pay taxes on the money that we're spending to have a business lunch.
Well,
we don't want to have liability if our products kill somebody.
If you're saying that the tax laws are a justification for government coming in and micromanaging business, well, then let's wipe this out. Let's make it so that everybody's taxed on the same, have a simple flat tax so we don't have all these loopholes, so corporations aren't there begging and paying off politicians.
Carrie, if you want to do away with the corporate form and require that all businesses be sole proprietorships and that the individuals running them be responsible, so if their product kills somebody, they can actually go to prison, I'm with you.
Liability laws are, I think, are a separate issue. We're talking about right now.
But that's what corporations are getting from government, is they're getting a limit to liability. Whether it's tax liability or whether it's personal liability, they're getting limits to liability. In exchange for that, they have to conduct themselves in a way that's a benefit to the country. What's wrong with that?
Okay, so Tom, why isn't it then they have to say we have to have this many 30-year-olds, this many 40-year-olds, this many 50-year-olds?
Well, to some extent they do. It's against the law to discriminate based on age.
12% should be African American. How far is it going to go? Where is it that we decide that the government's role in this should stop? I have a feeling that what we've seen coming from the left is that there is no end to this. That really they want government pretty much just to take over the corporate boards. Why let them exist at all? Just put the Treasury Secretary in charge of all this, or Obama himself can be sitting there and managing every car company, and making decisions on who should be on the corporate board for everybody.
Or then the alternative, if you're saying that that's the extreme logic of my position, the extreme logic of your position is that corporations can do anything they damn well please. If they kill us, if they poison us, there's nothing that we can do about it. Government has no say in it.
Well, first of all, if they did kill us and poison us, Tom, you would have there are many avenues that you would have if government weren't involved.
The market would fix itself after I'm already dead.
Okay, well, you would, sure, like that, but you would have, obviously we have a legal system. You would be able to...
Oh, but the legal system is the government, Carrie. I thought we didn't want the government involved in business.
Tom, there's a big difference between a basic idea of having a legal system that allows you to sue somebody who does you harm and this micromanaging of every decision that a company makes.
Right, and that's why I'm saying that there's some rational middle ground, and I think that you and I are frankly arguing about where that rational middle ground is, but we'll continue our conversation another time. Carrie Lukas, IWF.org. Thank you.